Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Ideas to Human Better, how to kindle an optimistic life in flow through a reframing of perceptions and perspectives. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about awareness, why it's important, how to be aware of your awareness, and how it all pertains to your past, your present, and more importantly, your future. Sit back, relax. Thanks for being here. And let's dive into Ideas to Human Better. So when I sit down to record these podcasts, I don't really start with a plan. I have a little bit of a plan, and that is what is going on in my life right now. What am I noticing in my day? What am I aware of? And what do I think the universe wants me to bring forth? And the way that I do that is I'm just super aware of myself. I'm really aware of what's happening in my life around me, and I'm trying to always notice and understand that. So that way I can then make conscious decisions and choices to move my life forward. So for example, today, when I was dropping my kids off this morning at school, I noticed a dad was embracing his daughter and saying goodbye to her. And I know this family because I used to go to church with them. So they, beautiful family. They're an absolutely amazing, gorgeous, beautiful family. And when the dad was saying goodbye to his daughter, he was holding her and giving her this great big hug, and she was giving him this great big hug. And as they started to pull away, it was like each time one started to pull away, the other would pull the other one back in. And it was just like the coolest, like he kept kissing her on her forehead, and she just kept going back and hugging him. And you could tell that neither one wanted to say goodbye to the other one. And as they started to leave each other, she held up like the I love you sign with her hand. And he just stood there and watched her walk into the school. And it was like a piece of him was leaving him for the day. Like a piece of his heart was leaving him. And I thought, what a beautiful moment. And if he could just love her like that for the rest of her life, she's set. She's going to be golden, knowing that she has someone who is so present and so aware of her and her needs right then in that moment, and she of his, and of this beautiful just family love that they have for each other. I thought there's nothing that this girl can't do in her life as long as her dad continues to love her in that way, regardless of whatever choice she makes in the future. And then later on, I'm going through my day and I start listening to a few different podcasts, and really they're all centering around awareness. So I thought, okay, so what does awareness mean to me? And I jotted down a couple notes, spent like 5 minutes jotting some things down. And then I just throw on my headphones. I'm like, all right, universe, here we go. So a couple of things that come up for me around awareness. One of them is like, why do we need to be aware of things? And I think, look, if you're trying to build a more optimistic life for yourself, then you have to be aware of what is happening around you. You have to be aware of your feelings. You have to be aware of your emotions. You have to be aware of the people around you and their feelings and emotions. And like, what are you picking up and what are you putting down? So being aware of your state right now is super important. Being aware of how you feel about past events is super important. And being aware of where you want to go and having that picture for yourself is also really important. Being aware awareness is like a flashlight, if you want to think of it like this. So the way that it works in your mind, think of your mind as this dark place with all these different rooms, okay? And awareness is the flashlight. So the flashlight's going to come in and it's going to shine a light into different aspects of your life. It might look at an emotion, and that's then going to be how you react into the world. It might be flashing a light on your perception of a situation, and then that's going to be how you perceive that situation to be. Okay, so let me paint this in a little bit clearer way. I don't know if you guys have ever been to California Adventure, but there is this room that they have there that you walk in, you kind of go through this little tiny tunnel and you walk into this room, and there's these giant screens all around you. And each giant screen is playing a different Disney movie. So think of this as your experiences. So you're going to walk into, think of like your first kiss, okay? Think of that memory or that moment. What was that like for you? Go there right now. Close your eyes. Think about that. Go to that place. Shine a light onto that moment in time. What are the screens playing? I want you to think about how you felt. I want you to think about, as like, one of the screens is like your emotion, okay? How you felt about that. Another one is maybe what you were wearing or the time or the place or your age. You know, you're kind of seeing this movie play out in these different aspects. So your perception of that time, and there's all these screens that are playing all around you that maybe you're not even aware of because you're not kind of looking in that direction. So perhaps that moment was really horrible for you. Maybe it was the most beautiful, miraculous thing and answered all these hopes and prayers for you. Your perception of that moment is going to dictate what is playing on those movie screens. Okay, so if I perceive that moment to be beautiful and glorious, then I'm going to be seeing happy emotions and maybe nervousness and excitement and oh my God, anxiety, like, am I doing this right? And then I'm also going to be seeing the scene, right? Like where I'm standing and where he's standing and how it came to be and how it happened. And so because my emotions are all positive and I'm seeing, and I look back on it fondly, the picture I'm seeing is also positive. And that's a memory being built in my mind. And the more I play that over, the more I'm kind of unable to see the other scenes or unable to sort of take in other perspectives around that scene. That's just how I remember it. So when we have these scenes and these perceptions of things that are negative in our life. So when we go back and you think about, oh, my divorce, or oh, that F that I got, or oh, that expectation that I didn't meet, or that experience that I had that was horrible. So if you can go back, if you can bring your awareness, so bring your flashlight into that room and start to look around at what is the good in that situation, bringing your awareness back to that place and being able to see the good in it is so important to sort of rewrite your history. Because if you want an optimistic, happy life moving forward, we've got to sort of clean up the rooms in the past and change all the screens that are playing negative stories in your mind. This is like vital to having success in life. You can just turn off the light and shut the door, but I'm telling you what, subconsciously, those stories are still playing. So until you go in and change the reel or stop playing the tape on the screen of the yuckiness and start playing the screen of the good in it, like what's the good in this situation? And I'm telling you, living open, valuing everything is truly what it means to come from a place of love. So live open to there being other perspectives. There is good in your past experiences, whether you want to believe it or not. I'm telling you the truth. There is good in it. You have to be willing to take your awareness and to say, maybe that woman on that podcast is right. Let me go back to that moment and let me start shining a light on why this is a positive in my life instead of a negative. And only if you can find the most tiniest aspect of good, it's still enough good, and that little bit of light can then start to grow. And soon the negative will dim out and the positive will just be so bright. And that's the story that's playing, that now a new emotion can be attached to that experience. So the experience in itself might be negative at first, with negative emotions. And once you start seeing the good and thinking, well, if that never happened to me, then I wouldn't have had this experience. If that never happened to me, then this person would never come into my life, or I never would have learned this lesson. So think about it from that perspective of like, what else has come through your life or in your life or that you have now that maybe you wouldn't have had if you didn't have that negative experience. So that's one way of sort of changing your awareness around your past. Okay, so let's talk about changing your perspective and awareness around your present day. So what is the task at hand? So like this father saying goodbye to his daughter, he wasn't on his phone. He didn't just drop her off and like, peace out, see ya, and turn around and walk away thinking about all the other things he has to do about his future. He's genuinely in that moment. He was right there with her. It was her and him, and their leaving of one another for a handful of hours. And all the attention was right there in that moment. And that's why that energy, it was like glowing. It was like the biggest flashlight for me. So it recorded this experience in my mind. So now I have this room, my love room, right? My family love room, my perspective of what family looks like and what love looks like. And I saw how that dad was reacting with that daughter, and what a beautiful example to me. Eva, be more present with your kids. Like when they are talking to you, when you are with them, put your phone down for 2 seconds. Where is your awareness? Because your awareness in the present moment can only be in one place. It's really, really hard to be having a flashlight on in your past, a flashlight on in your future, and the flashlight on in your present moment. You only have one flashlight. So where are you focusing it? So if you want to go and clean up your past, then give yourself the space to do that. Don't have 30 things that you have to do on your to-do list. Really, if you're focusing on that, that's what you're focusing on, right? Then you're doing self-care around healing your attachments and your failed expectations and all the trauma of your past and all the people you blame. Like that's where you're focusing your attention. Fine. If you're focusing on your present moment, you're thinking about the people who are in your life right now and the goals that you have right now for yourself and what needs to happen, what bricks need to be laid so that way you can start building this really amazing, beautiful future for yourself. So concentration and keeping your awareness in the present moment is a really important tool to be able to know how to do. So sometimes this can be a little bit of a challenge, especially when chaos of life is happening. So you have a plan for your day. You drop your daughter off, you get back home, like you were super aware there. That was great. Yay, pat on the back. Now I've got all this stuff to do. And you start to feel maybe a little bit overwhelmed. So you can have a to-do list. You can just say, all right, universe, what's next? What's the most important thing for me to do that's also going to bring me the most amount of joy? So that's how I sort of decide where I'm going with my day. I know I have 5 hours to work. I look at what absolutely has to get done today, and I want to get rid of those things because they're like the least amount of joy. And sometimes I go, that thing can wait till tomorrow because it's the least amount of joy. I really want to bring in the most amount of joy right now. So then I'll do the thing that brings me the most amount of joy. So that way I'm kind of riding that high to then go do the thing that I least want to do. So you have to think about what works best for you and what you want to do, and how to bring the most amount of joy and keep your awareness focused on the present moment. Because let's say I want to record this podcast, but I've got this huge list of to-do things. It's really going to be hard for me to focus on recording the podcast when I know I have dishes and that's going to nag me forever. I might as well go do the dishes first and then come record the podcast. If I'd rather record the podcast and then go do the dishes because I'm like, yay, I just did something that brought me so much joy. Now my day is set. I feel so good about it. So let's go do all the yucky stuff. And then the yucky stuff isn't as hard. So this is me laying bricks for my future. So I want to have a clean house or a somewhat clean house. That's important to me. I want to be able to be doing things that bring me so much joy that are building my future. So I do something in my day and I focus my awareness on that. Okay, so let's talk about what it looks like to be aware of your future. So you have to be aware of your future. You need to be aware of your present. So what are you doing today? Where are you actually spending time? Because what you're doing today is going to dictate what tomorrow is going to look like. So if you don't pay your water bill today, your water is going to be shut off tomorrow. There's things that you have to do in the present moment to be able to establish a secure and happy future for yourself. So if your priority, if you value career, you need to spend time in your present moment nurturing that. If you value family, you need to spend time in your present moment nurturing that. If you value your relationships with your girlfriends or your coworkers, then that's where you need to spend time now in the present moment nurturing. So you make a choice of where you're going to spend your time and your awareness right now based on what you want your future to look like. So for me, I have a vision board that sits right next to my desk, and I kind of need to update it. But the premise of it, and I had it this beautiful before I moved, and then I moved and I've yet to update it. But let me tell you the concept of it, because I think it's really important and kind of cool the way that I do it. So a lot of vision boards that I had seen were these sort of flat, like Mod Podge, I think it's called, where it's you kind of clip everything out or print things out or write or whatever, and then it's sort of stagnant. My vision board is made out of metal and has magnets because I want to be able to constantly be switching out my future based on my present moment. So you don't know what you don't know. So as I bring in new information, my future starts to shift. Think of it like maybe parallel worlds or whatever. I mean, I'm literally shifting into different dimensions based on the choices that I'm making right now. So I'm moving in one direction. All of a sudden, I decide, you know what, I'm going to actually run this way instead, or actually I'm going to work on this instead. So I all of a sudden move timelines from doing this to now doing this. And now my future is going to be, it's going to manifest based on, and is predicated based on the choices that I make now. So if I want to have a beautiful, lovely, amazing connections with my children, I have to spend time having those beautiful embraces and moments where that exchange is real and authentic now, because it's not just going to miraculously happen in a year or 10 years or 20 years. You have to take time to cultivate today, right now, the things that you want to see beautiful in the future in your life. So if it's important to you to have a career that you're super excited about, even if you have one that you absolutely hate now, what bricks are you laying in the present moment to build that future for yourself? If you want to have a beautiful family, what are you doing today to build that for yourself? And so your awareness is in the choices that you're making now so that you can have this amazing, beautiful tomorrow. One of the most important things to consider about the present moment is this concept of crazy town. So what'll happen sometimes is the chaos comes in, like you've got your plan, you're moving through your day, and then bam, something happens. You get a phone call, your kid does this, your best friend said this, you saw this online, something happens that kind of shocks you from being aware of your present moment. And all of a sudden this huge flashlight, it's like goes to this crazy town place. So imagine like you're living in flow, life is good. And all of a sudden, bam, the thing happens. And it's like this slingshot, like it wants to yank you out of your flow life. And you hop on this train, this speed, sometimes like a bullet train. Hopefully your train is slow moving. You don't want to be on the fast train to Crazy Town. You want to be on the slow moving, like, hand cart to Crazy Town. Okay. So that's your awareness. You're like, oh, wow, I'm going to Crazy Town. This just happened. And usually I would respond by flashing my putting a flashlight on anger or frustration or jealousy or resentment or any of those negative behaviors. What you want to do is go, oh, I see you trying to pull me into that place. But if I go to that negative place with my emotion, I'm not going to be building and laying the bricks to the future that I want. So you are a hindrance. You are a hindrance, you ball of negative energy, negative experience, or whatever. You can choose to take that piece of information, okay, and play it in your optimistic room. You're going to take that negative experience and you're going to shine it in your optimistic room, play it in your big, huge room with all your boards, screens, not boards, and you're going to take your happy self, your happy, positive, I can find the good in this, inspired self. And you're going to look at the situation and say, what is the good in this? What is the good in this? Breathe through it and look for the positiveness in the moment. And if you cannot see it right now because it's just too hard and it's just too crazy, just sit with it and just let the emotion be. Don't lash out with it. Don't make a crazy choice. Don't go do something. Just sit with it. Let that be what you do right now. You're sitting in this room and you're letting it play out, and you're consciously choosing to move into an emotion that is going to be able to handle the craziness and the chaos in a sane way. I really hope that makes sense. I see so many people who just go from saneness and like living their best life to absolute crazy like that, like in the blink of an eye, just by bringing up someone's name or by talking about something or by saying a certain word or by one experience that all of a sudden comes in. And truly, you have so much more self-control of your awareness. You can choose where you put your flashlight. You can choose to focus your flashlight on the past and on yesterday and on the woe is me and life is hard and life sucks and look what happened to me. Sure, spend your entire life complaining about your past. That's an existence. You are welcome to choose that existence. You are also welcome to try to heal that existence and find the good. Bring your awareness to the present moment and focus on the things that you want to achieve in your life. And then you can build a future that you will be so excited about, and constantly let that future mold as new information comes in. It's okay to say, I no longer believe this thing. And now I'm going to take this picture off my vision board and I'm going to add this one. And wow, I really liked that one thing. I'm going to take that and I'm going to add that to my future. I want some more of that in my future. Build the future that you want for yourself. Your awareness is in your control 100% of the time, 100% of your life. You control you. You don't control anyone else. You cannot control how someone else reacts, but you can 100% control how you react. It is a skill that is learned. Some people are better at it than others, but you can get better at it. You can get better at controlling your emotions, at bringing your awareness to the present moment, and intentionally creating a life that is in flow, that has tons of optimism in it, that when you fail, you're just like, all right, let's keep going. What can I learn from that? How can I make it better? By reframing your perceptions and your perspectives of life, you are going to live in flow and have a life that is so beautiful and so happy and ripple effects out into all of your circle of influence. And isn't that what we want? We want to be light for everyone else in this world. So do your best. That's all you can ever do. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode today of Ideas to Human Better. It has been an honor and a privilege to share with you my views around awareness. I hope that you are able to take what works and leave the rest, and that you have an amazing, beautiful, wonderful day.